Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Michelle and I am a high school art teacher. I've been teaching for 7.5, 8 years now, somewhere around there, and I used to teach elementary art as well. And today I am bringing you guys my absolute favorite website for distant learning. I know that we don't know what's going to happen this fall, but these are websites and apps and Google Chrome extensions that I will be using no matter what. So these are things that I've really fallen in love with through the whole distance learning process this last spring, and regardless if we are going to be in person or if we're going to be online, these are websites and resources that I plan to use with my students no matter what, because I love them so much. So I'm filming this video today to hopefully help other teachers. I want to hopefully help you guys, whether you're an art teacher or a general education teacher, because these are also resources that I think can help anybody no matter what subject you are teaching. These are resources that have worked for me, that I saw engagement with my students with, and just have been great resources to have during this crazy teaching time that we've all experienced. If you're new to this channel, I would love for you guys to subscribe. I create teaching content, lifestyle content, simple living, and you can also follow me along on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Michele R. Rose. So I have all of the resources right here in my notebook, and I've broken them down into different sections. I will try to put them down below too, and I will try to timestamp where each one is in the video. If you want a full tutorial on any of these, just leave me a comment down below and let me know, and I can probably film that for you. The first resource is one that I'm sure you've all heard of. Many of you have probably used it, but I still have to include it because it's just so good. If you're a new teacher, maybe you're unfamiliar, or if you're just getting into teaching, or regardless, it just should be on the list because I can't not include it. And that is, of course, Google Classroom. I am a huge fan of Google to begin with, and a lot of their apps and a lot of their extensions, but Google Classroom is really a good hub. It's a good foundation that you can use to communicate with your students. There is some areas where it's lacking, especially for me as an art teacher. You know, the collaboration just isn't quite there, and it's kind of clunky in some ways, but it's great for what I use it for, which is a way to communicate with my students, a way to post assignments, a way to post announcements. If you think about like when the class comes in and you're standing in front of your class and you're talking to the whole group with announcements and things like that, and homework and when tests are going to be. That's what Google Classroom is for me. It's a way for me to have that piece of my classroom where you're standing, whole group, making announcements and talking to your entire class. Now you can email and post for individual students as well, and there's a lot of different things that you can do with Google Classroom. You can do polls and surveys and Google Forms and all kinds of stuff like that. But for me, just this year, this spring, I use it as like a central hub. That way I could post all the other resources that I'm talking about on there and my students could access them. It is great for tracking assignments too. It'll tell you who turned something in, who didn't, how many, and I know a lot of teachers were using that this spring to see engagement and see how many students were actually submitting work, but that is a great feature as well. The second resource that I really used a lot, my main resources, is Padlet. And I was looking for something to really kind of simulate that collaboration that I love in a classroom. So I have my students grouped, and now given with COVID, you know, things are going to be a lot different. But in the past, I always had my students grouped together. I loved them talking with each other, collaborating, and they used to help each other with their artwork and problem solving, and it was always just such an amazing experience to see in the art room them working together like that so naturally too. That was something that was missing with Google Classroom, because it's not as easy on Google Classroom to post your photos, comment on them, have a conversation in the comments with each other, and have that collaboration. There comes Padlet. So Padlet is basically, if you think of it like a big bulletin board in your classroom, where you would post anything that you want your students to see. You would also post student work to showcase it. And so they can go on, they can post their artwork or whatever you're doing with them, and then students can like it, they can comment it. Now you have control over all of this though as the teacher, so if you don't want your students to comment on something, you can do that. You can set that up in the settings. But for me, I wanted that collaboration, and so I let the comments be open. I let them be able to heart the posts and all that stuff, and it was a way for them to post their photos of the artwork they were doing at home. You could see it. You can set it up in different ways, but I had it set up where you could see everybody's work that was posted. You could comment. It was a really, really great tool. Now you can also, as a teacher, use it as your bulletin board for information. So you could make, like, for me, for example, if I was teaching two-point perspective, I could have a Padlet for two-point perspective. I could put on there my videos that I did as tutorials. I could do other resources for them to see. I could do examples and put that all on there, so it's like one bulletin board hub for them to learn that skill. Kind of like Pinterest boards, very similar, if that makes sense. So it's visual, it's eye-catching, and it promotes collaboration. I love it. The only downside to Padlet, which is such a bummer, is you can only have 3 Padlets, and if not, you have to pay. I think it's $10 a month. I will say I did pay for the subscription during the whole COVID, quarantining and everything. I did pay for it. And I wish that they would do kind of like a free thing for teachers, especially now during this time, but regardless, it's a great tool. If you create 3, you can then archive them and create new ones. Padlet, if you're listening, let us teachers have more. We need it right now. You're a great resource, but we need more Padlets. Okay, so those were my 2 main ones. I posted my Padlet to my Google Classroom, and those were like the 2 main things I really used for my students. Then after that, I have 4 other resources to share with you that I've used to help my students, to show tutorials or like anything like that, that I use in addition to Google Classroom and Padlet. The next one on the list you might have already heard of too, but it is Screencastify, and it basically records your screen for you. Now with a Mac, you do have the capability of recording your screen within the Mac. With Screencastify, it does give you more options. For example, you can choose to only record one tab of your computer. You can choose to record the whole desktop. You can choose to have your webcam like down in the corner so that your students can actually see you while you are still doing the tutorial as if you were actually teaching, and you can just record your webcam. So there's a lot of different options, and it's really made and intended for presentations, for tutorials, for teaching. Now again, this is not a completely free program. It is, however, there are some stipulations, so you have to only make a 5-minute video, and there's no editing. And that's for the free part of the website. If you want to pay, you can make a longer video, you can edit it, but I've never really had to, and if it is a longer video, then 5 minutes is probably a drawing tutorial where I wouldn't be using Screencastify anyway. So they're usually just quick tutorials. Like for example, when my students were having a hard time figuring out how to access Padlet, how to turn an assignment into Google Classroom, I would do a Screencastify really quick and just kind of show them my computer screen and how I'm doing it. You could also use this as a tool for your students to create presentations. I'm sure as teachers, a lot of us have been missing that. Just like we miss collaboration, we miss having our students do presentations, and this would be a great way for them to do a presentation on their own by using Screencastify themselves. The next one is SafeShare, and this I have used for many years because I hate when I want to show an awesome YouTube tutorial or a drawing exercise or whatever it may be on YouTube, and you get those pop-up ads, or you get the recommended videos on the side, and you always have to be concerned and worried. I also know some schools who aren't allowed to even access YouTube, and so this is great because it takes that YouTube video, it puts it onto SafeShare, and then it's just the video. Like you're showing your students just the video, no comment section, no ads, no recommended videos. You don't have to worry. You can show a video and be relaxed about it and not on edge that you don't know what's going to be said or what's going to pop up or anything like that. It's just like it says. It's a way to share safely a video, and I really have enjoyed it, and I use it all the time. Symbaloo. Symbaloo is kind of like another almost bulletin board-y aspect of a resource, except it's just for links for other websites and things, and they're kind of in icons like little apps on your phone, and I will put this onto a Padlet or I will put it onto Google Classroom. And this year, for example, or this spring I should say, I just had a big giant choice board for my students, and I had all these different links, and I don't know why I forgot about this resource, this website, because I used to use it all the time. And for my high schoolers, I made like a Google Sheet with all the different links and stuff, and I thought later, why didn't I put that on Symbaloo? Symbaloo is so perfect for that. It's collecting links and a quick and easy way for students to go in and always have that link available to them. The next one is called Snapverter, and it's a Google extension, I'm pretty sure. So what Snapverter does is it's basically a way to scan documents to make them into PDFs without having to go to your copier and actually scan it in. So when I first started teaching, I had so many handouts that I drew because they were like drawing tutorials. That's a big one for our teachers. We often just draw our tutorials out and then I'll add text and font on the computer later. But there's so many little handouts and things that I had made and created or were passed down to me from other teachers, and I had hard copies of them. And I used to have a binder full of to be scanned, and it would just sit there and I'd never get around to it. If I would have had this resource then, it would have got done a lot faster. All you do is take a picture of it with your phone, it puts it in as a PDF, and it also, I forget the term for this, but it also then can recognize the words in the PDF within reason, like if it's actually typed, if it's not, a sloppy, like it can't be like handwritten. If you take a picture of a document, it can actually identify the words and things. And so if you use another type of resource that can highlight, or there's some resources that will actually read the PDF document to your students or to yourself, whatever it may be, then this will work with that. All right, now on to kind of like fun things and one assessment tool, but it's also a fun assessment tool. So that is Kahoot. I will always love Kahoot. I love it. I love playing it with my students. They love it. I did it in person. We did it through distance learning, and it's just so fun. It's like a fun game show quiz thing, but you can actually do real assessments with it too, which I love. There's a free version. There's a paid version. I believe I did the trial for the paid version in the beginning of the year, and it's really awesome. Like, you can do a lot with that, but you don't need it. You can just use the free version too. Check out Kahoot. It's a good time. If you don't already use it, you need to be. The next two are extensions, or I think apps. The Emoji Google extension is awesome. I am an extension junkie to begin with. I love Google. I love Google anything, and adding extensions to my Google Chrome is like my favorite thing because it just makes everything so much easier and it shortens the process of everything. I have extensions for shopping. I have extensions for like literally everything. But the emoji one is a lot of fun because you can add emojis anywhere, like in Google Classroom when you're responding to a student, in your email, like anywhere like that, you can add an emoji, and it's so not necessary. However, it is fun and the kids really like it. The next one is an app, and I think an extension too, and it's the Gyphy or Gyphy, I don't know, app extension. This I use a ton. It's also the same one like if you're on Instagram, when you go into your stories and you can add little animations. Fun fact, you can also make these yourself, but that's for another video. But it just makes everything so much easier. So if you're making a PowerPoint presentation and you want to add in a fun animation, you can get it on this. You can respond to a student with a fun one too. Like, there's just so much to do with them, and it just makes it a little more creative, a little more engaging and fun. The last three are art focused, but like I said in the beginning of the video, you could really use these for anything, especially because I think incorporating creativity and art and culture into every classroom is really important, and it also helps the students. And so the first two are kind of geared more towards, I would say, high school level, and then the last one is like the grand finale one that I love so much, and you can use it for any grade. So Photopea and Pixlr, they're both photo editing softwares, or websites I should say, online, and they are free. Now Pixlr has an advanced version, and I forget what they call the other version. It's not like you have to pay for it or anything, it just has more options and you can do more with photos. One's like a quick editor and one is just a little bit more detailed. Kids love manipulating photos and using photo editing things, and so this is just a fun tool to get them creative digitally, kind of diving into photography, photo editing, some digital stuff, and they always have a really good time with it. Plus, they're really good at it. I find it just kind of picking it up. And so if you just want to give your students a creative outlet to check out this website, see what you can do with it, they'll dive in and go crazy with it, and you don't even need to do that many tutorials. Now the other one, Photopea, that one is a bit more advanced. That looks like Adobe Photoshop, like almost to a T, except it's free. Now I'm sure there's a lot of other limitations on it. It's not exactly like Adobe Photoshop because that's a pretty expensive program, but from what I can tell, I mean, it has a lot on there, and when you look at it, you think it looks just like Adobe Photoshop. So if you have a creative student, someone who likes to edit photos, or even for yourself, maybe you would like to use it, those are two very good photo editing websites online. All right, the grand finale, the one that I love so much, is an app, and I think also a website. It is the Google Art and Culture app. Oh my gosh, you guys, this thing has so many awesome things within it. Google came out with this, and when I first discovered it, I remember the a virtual field trip aspect of it, but now there's so many different things that you can do with it. So you could go on a virtual field trip to a museum, literally any museum in the world. Like, you can travel to Japan, go to a museum, and come home and not even leave your couch. So you can actually walk through the museum, you can see paintings close up, you can zoom in and literally see the brushstrokes of the painting. Yes, I'm geeking out, but it's really cool. So because it's art and culture, it's not just paintings either. I don't want you to think it's just paintings. There's a whole section that literally says sights to see from your sofa, couch travel recommendations, and you can go in and actually travel different areas around the world because it is art and culture. So just different sites, different art in those sites. It's absolutely amazing. So they did actually add a few features. I just saw when I pulled it up earlier to kind of plan for this video. They added some things for just nifty things with your phone. There is one thing called art transfer. You can take a photo of something and then you can click which famous painting you want it to look like, and it'll kind of transfer it into that painting style. There's another thing that is new, and this is really cool. I think it's made, I could be wrong, but I think it's made for those virtual things that you put on your eyes. Like, you put your phone in it and then you put it on your eyes and you can see around. But it's called an art projector. What you do is you position your phone, and then it'll say to drag the painting to the area on your phone that it kind of has squares, and it's telling you where to put it, and then it looks like your house but with a wall up from a museum with the painting, and it's to show you the size of the actual painting. It's to show you what that painting would look like if you were standing right in front of it. And when you're looking at your phone, it feels like you're there looking at the painting. It's so cool. You can walk up to the painting, you can walk away from the painting, you can look up and down. I bet, like I said, if you had that virtual thing, it would be even cooler. So Google is just killing it with this art and culture app. I highly suggest it. Your students will love it. Definitely check it out. So that is all the resources that I have been loving, that I've used, and that I plan to use in the fall, whether it's in person or whether we are still distant learning. I wish you guys all the luck this fall. I know it's a little bit of a crazy time right now, but I just want to send some positivity your way and let you know that you can do this. You're a great teacher, and whatever this fall throws at you, we got this. If you need any more information on any of the resources that I mentioned, don't forget to let me know in the comments. If you're not already subscribed, do that before you go. Like I said, I create teaching, lifestyle, simple living content, and I would love for you to join our little community here on YouTube. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Don't forget to look for the beauty in each and every day, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye!